Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Islam and the West, a program dedicated to Western phenomena and Islamic phenomena that Muslims and Christians and we are dealt or deal with it here. One of the unique aspect of the West that we find is the amount of religious freedom that is seen within the West. We have many minorities who practice their faith very freely compared to many of the Middle Eastern or Eastern countries that we see that they are persecuted. In our studio today we have Reverend Rana Khan, who is the minister, a priest for one of the Christian community in London, and he has even worked for the Archbishop of Canterbury till this last month, basically to 2013, where he resigned just before that. So from 2009 to 2013 he was with the Archbishop of Canterbury. He was one of the staff. And the other thing that perhaps Reverend Rana have to give us is his latest accounts from the recent genocide that took place in Pakistan, where 150 houses of Christians were burnt, many of the churches were torched as well, and the amount of persecution that takes place in Pakistan on the Christians. We will be looking at how we could tackle the fundamentalism that exists. At the same time, how we could build bridges amongst the Christians and Muslims for the progress and development of human society. Welcome, Reverend.
Thank you.
Reverend, if you could give us a bit of your background in regards to the Christians at present existing in Pakistan, how long is the standing, and compared to how much is the amount of population and how free they are. So if you can begin with the Christians in Pakistan a bit in general, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you. In the name of God the Father, Son and the Holy Spirit. Let me start for thanking you and the Sahar TV for giving me opportunity to speak not on behalf of Christians of Pakistan, but on behalf of all those who are persecuted in Pakistan. Interestingly, I was in Lahore when this incident happened on 9th of March. I left Lahore in the morning and it happened probably in afternoon. When I switched off my phone, when the plane landed at Heathrow Airport, the first thing I got on Facebook and emails and Twitter, these horrible news coming from Lahore. More than 178 houses and shops were burned, not in some remote area, but in the heart of the capital of the biggest province of Pakistan. Why this kind of incident happened, certainly we will talk more about that, but it will be good to touch on since how long Christianity is in that part of the world. Historically speaking, Christianity arrived in Pakistan when it just separated from the Middle East anywhere in the world. One of the apostles, one of the disciples, Havari of Jesus Christ, St. Thomas, this is a tradition, he came to India, traveling from Iraq, Iran and Balochistan, and then he came to Taxila, one of the historical cities in northern part of Pakistan. He stayed there for a few years. Then he moved from there to South India, and his tomb is in Madras, in India. Yeah.
So which year we are looking at this?
Probably 38 or 39 AD.
All right.
Just few years,
wow, that's like
after resurrection of Christ.
Yeah,
so Christianity in Indian subcontinent is one of the historical wings of Christianity in the world.
So we are talking about even before Islam.
Oh, much more before it. One of the disciples, Havaris of Christ, he went to Indian subcontinent. Then that was the first phase. Christianity in South India, in Madras, Malabar, in that area, is coming from 19th centuries. Then the second phase was during the Mughal Empire. Jesuits, priests, they went from Portuguese and from Spain, they went to Indian subcontinent. And the third phase of Christianity, mostly known in Pakistan, that Christianity came with the Westerns. And now Christianity is almost known as a Western religion
Yes.
in Pakistan, which is not true. Christianity is very much Eastern religion, Middle Eastern religion, came with St. Thomas, one of the disciples of Jesus Christ. But Christianity came to Indian subcontinent in 3 phases. First with St. Thomas, then with in 14th, 15th century during Mughal Empire, and then in during British time.
Right. I mean, we haven't seen. I mean, even when I was looking at the Safavid dynasty and the history of Christian within the Iranian empire as well, within the Safavid dynasty, we do find elements of Christianity within there as well. What I was trying to look at is that the amount of persecution that we find, as of today. However, at the same time, you had periods where there were kings and tyrants and known or painted as like tyrant rulers, but still we don't really find a sort of mass execution, mass genocide that we hear today. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Christianity in Indian subcontinent. When I say Indian subcontinent, I include Pakistan.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Christianity in Indian subcontinent, as I mentioned, came in its early stage, yes. And of course Islam also, and we know from the history that the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, Hazrat Hussein, when he had difficult time in the Middle East, this was one of the requests he made, I think, if I'm not wrong, let me go to India. Because India was the place, or Indian subcontinent was the place where I can say, if this is not, if I'm not biased as a person coming from that part of the world, the highest level of tolerance, religious tolerance, was there, and not just tolerance, but also acceptance. Not just acceptance, but also adoption. People from the Middle East, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Baha'ism, Zoroastrian, they all went to get asylum. They all went to get more freedom, and so the level of religious freedom in Indian subcontinent, because of its diverse culture, because of the acceptance which is very much in the texture of Indian culture, was there. That's why Christianity got a lot of opportunities, Islam got a lot of opportunities, and all other religions, they got a lot of opportunities to flourish there. Let me compare also with dharmic religions and little bit with the Abrahamic religions coming from the Middle East. Many religions, but 3 great religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam, came from the Middle East. And 3 great dharmic religions, Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, they came from the Indian subcontinent. Right. Indian culture has a fertility to give birth to religions and spirituality. That's why 3 great religions came from their dharmic religions, Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and then Jain Mat and many others. But India has not just fertility to produce spirituality and to enhance and to give birth to religions, but they have also a highest level of adoption, acceptance and religious freedom, if you like. Then these 3 religions from the Middle East went there. And now, interestingly, if you collect or gather all the Muslim population in the Middle East, Muslim population in the Indian subcontinent is much more higher than that. And if you gather all the Christian population from the Middle East, from Palestine, Syria, Egypt, everywhere, then the Christian population in Indian subcontinent is more than that. Right. It's a proof that Christian population, Muslim population in Indian subcontinent is more than that. But unfortunately, we living in Pakistan, we have gone far from our traditions. There was a time when people would think that, that part of the world, Indian subcontinent, we can go there, we'll have prosperity, economical prosperity, religious and political freedom, and there will be opportunity for us to flourish and grow. There will be opportunity for us to spread our thoughts and ideology, and it happened. But unfortunately, what is happening in Pakistan, it gives a very clear and very dark picture of that there is no tolerance there. But I think intolerance has no roots in historical culture of Pakistan.
Right, right. Perhaps you could elaborate a bit more of your fellow, religious, like the other minorities that are suffering. Do they are also a target of this suffering that you find in Pakistan?
Yes, other religious minorities like Ahmadis, Hindus, they also have the same kind of problems. And of course Shias, though they are not religious minority, but at least because of the sectarianism, they are facing huge, enormous problems, and the killing of Shias in various parts of the country, especially in Balochistan, is a huge issue. Supreme Court of Pakistan, government has taken very serious actions on that. But on one hand, minorities and weak groups in Pakistan face problem, but on other hand, intolerant groups, violent groups, militant people, they have arms and guns. So armless people cannot really cope with the groups and people who have arms and guns.
Right. And in terms of the incident of Karachi, which was quite close to what happened in Lahore as well. You know, the bombing that took place in one of the cities of Karachi, which was Abbas town, where more than 150 people, were killed. And how was the reaction amongst the Christian in general in Pakistan and out here?
Let me make it clear that Christian persecution in Pakistan is not really because of suicide bombing or terrorist attacks going on. And then the problem which Shias are facing, it has different roots because of sectarianism, and then the whole war going on in the region, and then historically Shia-Sunni tension is always there. So it has a theological, geographical and political reasons. But persecution that Christians are facing, that has sometimes different and superficial and not very deep rooted in the society. For example, this incident happened in Badami Bagh last week. Some people say land mafia was behind that, because the way it was launched, this sad incident was launched, I would say, it looks that was planned. Police came to the people, senior people or the people who were influential there, and asked them, the Saman Masih who was accused of blasphemy law, if that person is behind the bar, then situation will be calm. Then what happened? The community leaders, they handed over Saman Masih, the accused for blasphemy law, to the police on Friday night, which means everything was in the box. No, police should have done investigation, and if he was if he found guilty, then they would persecute him, or they would execute the law. But what happened actually, accused was behind the bar, and police came to that area and they said, you need to evacuate this area because extremist element is in the society. We will not be able to stop the mob. They are militant, and there might be a lot of casualties. You need to evacuate the place. They made it possible that 178 houses were evacuated so that there is no casualty. So no man was killed there, but millions and millions of wealth was put under fire. So it gives a very clear indication that police had idea it's going to happen. Some people say police was hand in hand with the property mafia.
It seems to be a complete security breach. That's we tend to see, and at the same time, when we look at the Shia killings within Pakistan, you have the same element. the police tend to have the information, and then unfortunately, they are not being able to control it.
Yes, sometimes they don't want to control, sometimes they are unable to control, but you can't really say anything in black and white. But for example, Badami Bagh incident very clearly says they were 100 or 1000 or 2000, whatever the number was. They were not from another part of the world or from another planet. People who put fire on the houses, they were from that vicinity. And police had a lot of ways to tackle the situation if they really want to. But they did they let the things other way around. They went to Christians and they said, you need to flee from here, otherwise you may lose your lives. So there is a very strong opinion on that property mafia was there, and they wanted to grab that land, which is very much in the heart of the city, and they want to extend their warehouses or whatever their intentions are, so that when people are fearful, they will finally leave that place and they will sell it on the conditions which that property mafia will make. So this is sometimes some people say this is just a trailer, just to give them a very clear, strong message that we are behind this, we want this land, and finally you have to leave. In first instance, you lost your property, you lost your wealthy things or your households. In future, anything can happen.
Right. In terms of the relationship that the Christians have with the Muslims in Pakistan and here, if you compare that, how would you go about how these elements of fear, the elements of the extreme elements that exist could be eradicated, could be eliminated?
Christian-Muslim relations in Pakistan used to be ideal. We had no problem between Christians and Muslims, and they were living together since centuries. And religious coexistence in Pakistan is not because of immigration. Religious coexistence in Pakistan is not because of economical factors, that people from one part of the world move to another part of the world, or because of political uncertainty that people left their home and went to Pakistan. Christians and Muslims, they are living there since centuries, or since they are. For example, when I am in Pakistan, I speak Punjabi, and Punjabi constitutes 65% of the total population. When I'm in Pakistan, in Lahore, on one hand, I count myself among the majority community, but because of my religious identity, I am part of a minority group. So Christian-Muslim relations in Pakistan has always been ideal, but since last 20-25 years, because of extremism in the society, which is a new phenomena, and then because of Iraq and Afghan war, and prior to that because of Russia and Afghan war, and then because of sectarianism, and then Islamization in the society. These all are the factors which has created and brought and introduced intolerance in the society. Otherwise, the Christian-Muslim relations were ideal. I must tell my own story to you. I born in a Christian family. My father was very committed Christian. He sent me to live with my distant relatives in another city so that I could go to a church school. And church schools in Pakistan, church colleges in Pakistan are the best educational institutes. All wealthy Muslims, sensible Muslims, they send their children to church schools. So my father sent me to a church school. I was least interested because I had to live with my distant relatives. Then finally, with a permissive will, unwillingly, my father brought me back. And he had no idea because I destroyed his plans. And the local imam of that mosque, that was a Deobandi mosque. Now people think in a different way about all these sects, but at that time I had no idea. We had no idea this is a Deobandi mosque or this is a Brelvi mosque. But he was a lovely man. He was a great man. He asked my father, "Your son used to live with your distant relatives, but nowadays he is living here. What he is doing?" These were my father's words. "He destroyed my plan. I have nothing to offer to him. I will see what I will do. I sent him to a good church school, but he is not willing to live there. Then these were the Maulana's comments. He said, why don't you send him to our mosque school, to our madrasa, so that he could learn a difference between a church school and a mosque school, because church schools in Pakistan are best schools. But just as a punishment, for a few weeks I was sent to that mosque school. That was a primary school attached with the Jama Masjid in Vihari. I stayed there for 5 years.
Wow, that's quite interesting.
With the potential imams. Right. I had no idea one day I'll become a priest. My parents had no idea one day I'll become a priest. But 35 years ago, things were different. 35 years ago, Christian-Muslim relations in Pakistan were ideal. And Christian-Muslim relations or Christian or Hindu-Muslim relations, these were not something that we were received because of immigration. This is very important point to know. When we compare Christian-Muslim relations in the West with the Christian-Muslim relations in the Middle East or in Pakistan, we forget that Christian-Muslim relations in the West were emerged because of immigration. But it was not the case in the Middle East. Christian and Muslims in Iran, they are Iranian. Christian and Muslim in Iraq, they are people of the soil. Yeah. Christian and Muslims in Palestine, they are people of the soil. Christian and Muslims in Egypt is the same case. In the same way, Christian Muslims in Pakistan, they are Punjabi, they are whatever their cultural background is.
So it's a completely different
entirely different nature.
Yeah. I think we'll take a short break and we'll continue from there. What we discuss is the history of Christianity within the Indian subcontinent, which began really right after Christ, and after that, which we pointed out to, that the Indian subcontinent have that ability to accept and adopt, and at the same time cultivate, and it's a fertile ground because it has that acceptance, it has that tolerance for any religion to grow, for any spirituality to grow within it. And unfortunately, how it deteriorated within this 25 years span, the relationship was also deteriorated. I will look at more elements of deterioration and how this could be bridged and built back. Stay with us right after this short break. Welcome back. We are looking at religious tolerance within the West and also within the Middle East and Indian subcontinent. And as a matter of fact, we have with us Reverend Rana Khan. It was really fascinating to know that you, about 5 years, went to a Muslim, like a madrasa, mosque school. And this points out to the relationship that the Muslim and Christians had in the past, and how it has been gone, deteriorated, and it's on strain, unfortunately. What are the elements you think this really happened? This really made this to that tension, that sort of deterioration had taken place. I think there are various things that we can point out, especially in Pakistani and the Middle Eastern context, if we look into it. Certainly political instability and lack of democratic norms are the major issue.
Unfortunately, we people living in the Middle East and Pakistan, we have not happened to be a democratic societies. That's the main reason why extremist elements, militants get chance to creep into the society, how they get chance to influence the minds and hearts of young people, because of lack of democracy and lack of education. When you don't feel that you are really part of the power game, when you feel that you yourself cannot contribute to the society, you are just getting something, and people sitting on the top, they have power to make all arrangements in the government and everywhere, then it is very easy to trap you. Then it's very easy to trap you. I think this is the main area on which people who really want to bring change, who really want to uplift the population and people for their future generations in that part of the world, they should be sincere, very sincere about the democracy. If people have right to decide what's right and wrong, if people have right to go into the power circles, then certainly people will be much more faithful with their future. And secondly, education. Education is more important, or the most important thing. In the West, when we see, education played a tremendous role in their history, and how Renaissance period and how restoration and openness in the society came. Education was the most vibrant element behind that. People living in Pakistan, I think they should be sincere and honest with their present, and try to get all that can be helpful to polish and to solve the problem they are facing in their present.
But what about the lack of stability and security within the Pakistani or some of the Middle Eastern society that doesn't really allow that education to really flourish, unfortunately?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about the Middle Eastern society, but in Pakistan, we are not clear really for what we are and what we are going to achieve. I mean, having a separate country or independence is good. It's a gift of God. You are independent. You have your own country. Now you have your own passport, and you are Pakistani. But on the other hand, really, people sometimes think we are just a crowd, 180 million people gather in a geographical boundaries, having their own national identity, but don't really know where we are going, what is our destiny, why we are, and what we should achieve for our future generation. That's the reason people are leaving. That's the reason people are feeling people are in highest level of insecurity. That's the reason whatever anyone wants to achieve, whatever the means are, right or wrong, he or she will go for that. I think people in Pakistan, people in Middle East, they need to be honest with themselves first, and then with their fellow people.
Right. So the extreme element, you're saying that it could be tackled or marginalized with the pumping into education. Basically, you flourish the education, and that will happen. But if we compare that to what you were saying earlier, for example, the time like 25 years ago, where you also said went to a Muslim mosque school. I mean, what about then? I mean, there wasn't like the education, the advancement of education, the way society have become, internet. It's a global world now, and people are more kind of familiar with outer culture and what's happening out there compared to at that time. But we tend to find that there was this element of compassion and love that existed amongst different faiths.
Yes, I mean, as I was saying earlier, 35 years ago, things were different. And because of first Afghan war, that was the time when doors and windows in Pakistan were opened for extremism. And then Ziaul Haq and his regime, they misused the religion to all extents. And then all these kind of